We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Aleph in Meseches Sotah. This is Sotah Daf 31a. The Gemara continues a statement of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said even the fetuses in the wombs, they said Shira by the Shira Sayam. And the Gemara now quotes a pasuk. The pasuk says in Tehillim b'makelos baruchu Elokim Hashem mimekor Yisrael. And Rashi understands the pasuk b'makelos meaning kishenikalu alayam. When they gather by the sea, that's b'makelos. And then it says mimekor. What does it mean mimekor? Af osam shebimekor. Even those who were in the source, meaning again even those who were in the womb, they sang Shira. And the Gemara continues in the parentheses v'alo chazu, but they were not able to see. So how could they say the words Zek Levi Anveyu? And the Gemara answers, Amar Rabbi Tanchum says, Keres Nasa Lahen Kaspakalaria Hameira Vero. The stomachs became like luminous crystals, and they were able to see. And the Gemara continues at the two dots. The Mishnah said, Bo Bayom, on that day, Dorish Rabbi Yeshua ben Hyrcanus darshaned, Shalo Avad Eov V'chulu, that Eov only served HaKadosh Baruch Hu out of love. And the Mishnah goes on to quote a pasuk of Lo Hayachel and says it's not clear what the pasuk Lo Hayachel means. Does it mean I will trust in him, or is the Lo to be read with an aleph like Lo Hayachel, that even though he will slay me, then I will not trust in him? And so the Gemara says V'lichsi hai lo. So why don't we look at this word Lo? Ibalamed aleph ksiv. If it's written lamed aleph lohu, then it means Lo Hayachel, meaning I will not trust him. And Ibalamed vav ksiv, and if it's written with the lamed vav, so lohu, then it means even though he will slay me, I will trust in him. And so the Gemara says, Lohu, but is it really true that anytime it's written with the Lamed Aleph, it means like a language of no? Elameata, but according to that, what about the pasuk in Yeshayahu? The pasuk says, Bechol tzarasam lo tzar. It says, in all of their afflictions. So what it really means is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with us in our afflictions, lo tzar. There's like affliction to him, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the afflictions of Klal Yisrael. Techsib b'Lamed Aleph. And it says over there, it's written with a Lamed Aleph. Hachanami de lohu. Over there also, you're going to say it's low, meaning that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not concerned with the afflictions. But that can't be. If you're going to suggest that indeed that is the case, that it means HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not concerned with our afflictions. But the pasuk goes on to say, it's written Malach Panav Hoshiam, that it says that the Malach is going to save them. It sounds like, again, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is concerned. And so the Gemara says, Ela mashmahachi umashmahachi. Rather, when you have the word lo, it could be mashma in both directions, and that's why the Mishnah is questioning, what does that pasuk lo hayachel mean? And the Gemara continues, Tanya, we learned in a brayser, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Meir says, Nemar Yirei Elokim be'Iyov, v'Nemar Yirei Elokim be'Avram. It says the phrase Yirei Elokim, he feared God by Iyov, and it says the same phrase by Avraham. Ma Yirei Elokim ha'omer be'Avram me'ava. Just like the phrase Yirei Elokim by Avram, it means that Avram served out of love. Af Yirei Elokim ha'omer be'Iyov. So too the phrase Yirei Elokim that is said by Iyov me'ava. It means that Iyov served out of love. The Avraham Gufei Minolan, and Avram itself, how do we know that he served out of love? That's because it's written in the pasuk. Also a pasuk in Yeshayahu, Zera Avram Ohavai, it says, Ohavi, it says these are the descendants of Avram, the one who loved me. And so you see that Avram served out of love. What's the difference between somebody who serves out of love and somebody who does it out of fear? And the Gemara explains, there's the following difference as we learned in a Braisa. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Gadol ha'osa me'ava, yoser min ha'osa me'ira. It's greater one who serves out of love than one who does it out of fear. Shezet talei la'elef dor, v'zet talei la'alpayim dor. That in the case of fear, it talks about the fact that there's going to be reward for 1,000 generations. And in the other one, by love, it talks about thousands of generations. When it talks about ohavai, when it talks about those who love me, so it talks about alpayim, it talks about multitudes of thousands. The awesome ksivin over there, it says, L'shomrei mitzvosav la'elef dor, shomrei mitzvosav, referring to one who keeps the mitzvah, serves out of fear. There it just says 1,000 generations. But the Gemara says, 1 second, Hasam namiksiv le'ohavav u'l'shomrei mitzvosav le'elef dor. But there also, the pasuk says le'ohavav u'l'shomrei mitzvosav le'elef dor. It talks about love, and it talks about 1,000 generations. And to that, the Gemara says, Haila desamachle v'haila desamachle. Each pasuk needs to be interpreted with what is next to it. Meaning, when it says le'ohavav u'l'shomrei mitzvosav le'elef dor, the elef dor is going on shomrei mitzvosav. It's going on the fear. That's why it says elef dor. But when it talks about in the first pasuk, la'alofim le'ohavai l'shomrei mitzvosai, and that's in Sefer Shemos, v'yosa chesed la'alofim le'ohavai l'shomrei mitzvosai. So there, the word la'alofim is going next to the word le'ohavai, and so therefore it's going next to love. That's where we see the plural of the word elef. And the Gemara continues, Hanu Trei Talmidei de Havayasvi Kame de Rava. There were two students who were sitting in front of Rava. Chad Amar Le, one said to him, Akruyan Bechalmoy, it was read to me in my dream, the following pasuk, Ma'rav Tuvcha Asher Tzafanta Lireacha, all of the goodness that's hidden away for those who fear you. The Chad Amar Le, and the other one said to him, Akruyan Bechalmoy, it was read to me in my dream, V'yismechu chol chosevach, and they will rejoice, all those who take refuge with you. Liolam yiranenu v'yalzu v'cha ohave shemecha, and then it talks about the fact, again, they will rejoice, talks about those who serve out of love. And so Amar Lahu, so he said to them, Tarvaichu Rabbanon Sadike Gemuriatun. Both of you sages, you're great Sadikim, but Mar Me'ava, but one serves out of love. That's why the pasuk mentions Ohave Shemecha. That's why the pasuk mentions love. Umar Meir, and the other master serves out of fear, and that's why the pasuk says Asher Tzafanta Lireyecha. Hadron Aloch Kashem Sha'amayim. We will return to you Perek Kashem Sha'amayim. This is the end of the 5th Perek of Meseches Sotah. If you're enjoying these videos and this channel, please like, share, and subscribe. And please take a look at the description box below to see how you can support this channel. And we will now begin the 6th parak of Meseches Sotah. And the Mishnah says, Misha kine leishto, if somebody warns his wife, Vinistra, and she goes into seclusion with another man, Afilu shama me'of haporech, even if he hears about the seclusion from the bird that's flying, Yotzi v'yiten ksuba. He divorces her, and he gives her ksuba, divrei Rabbi Eliezer. That's the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Yoshua says it's not enough to hear me'of haporech, rather, until they're already having conversations about her, those who are spinning their threads by the light of the moon. Rashi says, Mishakine la v'nistra im la'achar shakine la nistra. Again, after he warned her, she goes into seclusion. Afilu shama me'of haporeach, even if he hears from the bird that's flying, shenistra, that she went into seclusion, yotzi v'iten ksuba. He divorces her, and he gives her the ksuba. Rabbi Eliezer l'taime, Rashi explains, Rabbi Eliezer over here in the Mishnah is following his opinion, damar b'parakam, because he says in the first parak, stira lo boy edus. The point over here, according to Rabbi Eliezer, is that seclusion does not require edim. You don't need to have edim to testify about the seclusion. V'afilu eved, v'afilu shivcha ne'amonim, even an eved or a shivcha, even a slave or a maidservant are believed. Dehainu nami k'of haporeach. That's the same idea as of haporeach. The iskish letuma, and the reason over here is because it's compared to the actual act of defilement. To kulu mehemniba. There also, everybody is trusted. Hilkach nesra alav. Therefore, in this case, even if you have a situation without two edim, she becomes prohibited to him. What the Mishnah means to say is that if he doesn't want to give her to drink, so then he divorces her and he has to give her the ksuba. And Rabbi Yeshua says until they have conversations about her znus, so those who are spinning their threads by the light of the moon. What Rabbi Yeshua is saying is, if you have a situation of seclusion without two witnesses, that's not enough to prohibit her upon him. You need to have two witnesses. Rabbi Yeshua, the time Rabbi Yeshua is following his opinion. Rabbi Yeshua is the one that says that he gives her to drink that has to be by two witnesses. There have to be two witnesses to the seclusion. Rashi explains, nevertheless, when they're already having conversations, when the women, by the light of the moon, are having conversations about her princess, mechoar hadavar v'teitze. So that's already something that is not a pleasant kind of conversation. It's not something that we approve of. V'teitze. So that's why she has to be divorced. To afilu maya sulo badkila, because in that situation, the waters actually won't test her. Kedetanya b'parakama, that we already learned in a brisa in the first parak. U'tahorahi v'losha yisu v'yitnu ba mozros b'levan. It says it doesn't apply. Again, the waters don't test her if they're having conversations about her by the light of the moon. That's why Rabbi Yeshua doesn't just talk about two witnesses. He talks about Achayisu v'yitnu ba mozros b'levana. And the Mishnah continues, Amar eid echad ani risiya shenitmes. Now, what if one witness says that I actually saw the act of defilement? Rashi says, Ani risiya shenitmes ba'osa stira she'al pi shnayim edim, meaning you have, let's say, according to Rabbi Yeshua, we have two witnesses on the seclusion, and then one witness says, I actually saw the defilement. Or Rabbi Eliezer al pi of haporech, or let's say, according to Rabbi Eliezer, you don't have witnesses on the seclusion because you don't need that, but then again, you have whatever you have in terms of the seclusion, and then you have one witness saying, I actually saw the defilement. So in that situation, lo haisa shosa, she does not drink. Rashi says, lo haisa shosa deid echad neman, but the point there is that in terms of tumah, one aid is believed. even to make her lose her ksuba, that's already evidence that something happened. We're going to learn it out later. We're going to learn this out later from Psukim in the Mishnah. So in any case, the point over here is, if 1-8 says, Ani Risisha Nitmes, Lo Haisa Shos. Not only that, El Afilu Eved Afilu Shifcha, even if it's a slave, even if it's a maidservant, Hare Elu Ne'monin Af Leposla Miksuba. So they are going to be believed. If they say they saw the defilement, they're even believed to disqualify her from her ksuba. Chamosa ubas chamosa v'tzarasa v'yavemta ubas bala. Now let's say her mother-in-law, or let's say the daughter of her mother-in-law, or let's say her co-wife, her rival wife, or let's say yavemta, which is the woman that's married to her husband's brother that could eventually become her rival wife if it's a situation of yibum, or let's say the daughter of her husband. All of these individuals, they have reason to dislike this woman, they have reason to hate this woman, so hare elo ne'amano, so they are believed. However, v'lo leposla michsubasa, but they're not believed to disqualify her from collecting from her ksuba. Ela shelo tishta, rather they're just believed in order to make it that she's not able to drink from the waters. Rashi says, "Hare elu ne'amanos lo le'edus zuzusha Torah hamina kol edus sheyesh." But the point is, the Torah believes any edus. Umiu lo leposla michsubas hol v'sonos. But since they hate her, they're not believed to disqualify her from collecting her ksuba. Ela shelo tishta. They're just believed to the level where she's not able to drink. She doesn't drink from the waters. Shahaya bedin. And now the Mishnah says, because you could have said not like this. You could have learned the opposite. If the original edus that's talking about the edus of seclusion, if that original edus of seclusion, which is not going to prohibit her forever, so that is not with less than 2 people, you need to have 2 witnesses, and this is following the opinion of Rabbi Yoshua. Again, that Rabbi Yoshua requires 2 witnesses by stira. So you could have said edus achroni. You could have said that later testimony, meaning the testimony about tumah, the testimony about the actual act of defilement, shows sarta isser olam, which does create an isser forever. And the reason, again, why seclusion doesn't create an isser forever is because it's possible that she can drink the waters. But when it comes to the edus of tumah, which does create an isser forever, eino din shelo teskayim b'pachos mishnayim, shouldn't it be true that it should only be with no less than 2 witnesses? Talmud lomar v'eid ein ba. So the Mishnah says to that, no, the pasuk says v'eid ein ba, and we darshan that to mean kol edus sheyesh ba. We darshan that to mean any amount of testimony is going to be good enough when it comes to the tumah. Kal v'chomer le'edus harishon me'ata. Now, once we said that, we could go the other direction and make a kal v'chomer for the earlier edus now. Uma'im, if we're going to say again by this edus achronon, we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis.